Nicky
Welcome
Pais.
back to the Conversion Code Podcast. I'm Ryan Netter, and I do not have my host here, but I have Nicky here. That's all that matters, right?
Travis is doing powerful moves.
Is he?
Yes, always.
What's he doing?
At all times.
Yeah, he's always like,
Each
I
of-
can't talk right now. I've got to go do recruiting.
It's
All right,
honestly,
I've got to train right now.
you have to recruit.
What's great about it is that he doesn't watch these, so he could just talk crap about him.
That's a crazy thing to say. Realistically, literally, like when you build the Yankees, you have to be very mindful and make sure you pull all the best players. That's the way it goes. Okay. The Yankees did not end up at the very top because they were willing to.
They're
let
not up
whoever
there
slip
anymore,
by.
though, man.
You
Jeez.
have the legacy, dude. Don't start with me.
Nicky's a huge
And for the
Yankees
record,
fan.
you can go through a little bit of period of time where you're not the best and nobody else can still catch up with you. If we get one this year, we're still right back at the very top. So I don't want to hear it.
What's been amazing is I never thought I'd be just talking to Nicky and I. She hated me for so long, but it's
I
okay.
never-
I'm just kidding.
That's not. Yo, Ryan told me the other day that I said something in a text message that literally never happened. So now I doubt half of the things.
Yo,
that you
you're
say.
you're great. You're so intense, and I thought I was the intense one, but now someone's up.
You
me.
know
That's
what's
why I
intense?
kind of like when you do get intense, I go the opposite way.
Camping.
Okay. What are we hopping into today, guys? We're sorry about this. We love you all. We're here, but tune in. What I'm gonna dive in today is what are we calling this? Never check in again.
Mm-hmm.
Never check in again. And what came to this, guys, is we've been training a lot recently, a lot with our agents here in Okotoshun and the agents that we're training with in Canary and Livian. Again, what's the next step? Hey, we had this conversation. We've gotten an opportunity. Someone's told us we're going to buy the next 90 days, 60 days, year from now. But I'm not giving value. I'm not bringing
What
value.
do I say?
What do I say?
for now till the next 6 months? Because what I don't want to say is, hey, just checking in. Are you
Yeah.
doing okay?
Yeah.
Just checking in is the phrase of sales. And there's immediately something that happens when a client or consumer hears that. Just checking in automatically lets us know that there's no personal touch and we have a sort of disconnect happen. So we want to eliminate that phrase right away. And then what are the things that we can say in its place? So those are some of the steps that we have.
No, I love it.
To talk
And
about.
Something that I watched this week, guys, a huge mentor of mine is Barry Jenkins. And why I kind of brought this to, attention is that he was going into some of this conversation with Tristan and Lab Coats as well. Is like, hey, do you ever see magazines? Like I was telling Scott yesterday, you ever see magazines say, hey, I'm just checking in? Instead of just going, hey, here's 2 ways to get sexy with hot yoga. I was telling you that. Like, you're giving them, hey, here's 3 ways or 2 ways. Here's 1 way to do this. Hey, here's one house that I thought you would rather see than the other houses I've been sending, right? Just something that stirs something up, even if it's not always directional on what you're getting out of the person. At least you're bringing something of value. And I think, like Nicky, you'll even say it as much as like this market's like we're becoming teachers. Like these agents are becoming such skilled teachers that they're going and teaching people and consulting them and bringing them down this path of, hey, I know you as a consumer are so educated based on the research you've done. I appreciate the research you've done, but let me be the pro in this transaction because I've done this so many times.
Right.
So let's dive into some of the things, Nicky, that you are going through with agents on our one-on-ones and that you're training with across Livian, that you can maybe bring with your language.
So just starting there with the property, right? We're not sending a property and ending with a sentence that says, what do you think? What do you think? Tell me what you think. We're going to send a property and the sentence instead should say, I saw a property that made me think of you. On a scale of 1 to 10, what do you think of this property? And then whenever they say something back, or give them an odd number, give them a 1 through 7, so they really have to decide that they're on one side or another. And then from there, digging and asking a follow-up question and saying, okay, what made it a 7? And then, or what made this a 4? What would you change to make it a 7? And then after you've dived in, well, now you're in a full conversation about property, and then you can start to continue to send them things, and you might stumble on something that they really love, but we didn't do that with a text that said, tell me what you think.
Yeah.
Right?
And I love that. And on the tech side of things, guys, I would tell you that a lot of times what I like to bring is that when you're sending these messages out to at some point with the technology you're using, have a link that you can text with. Ylopo, you can text a link. With Sierra, you can go grab the listing alert and be able to send it to them through text message. Like, guys, make shortcuts for your consumers that you're not just, hey, I sent them an email. Hopefully they looked at that. Now I'm going to text them something that doesn't really, maybe they never even looked at that email of the listing alert, right?
And then on on the secondary time that I reach out, let's say that I had sent that one and you didn't say anything.
Yeah.
I might say on the next time, hey, Ryan, I saw in the list that I'm sending you, there's only a total of 3 properties that are showing up. I want us to open this up in case there is the right thing just around the corner.
Yeah.
What can I do to tailor this list?
So maybe looking at your listing alert to be maybe being too broad sometimes, or maybe it's just too little.
Exactly.
Right?
And that's the opposite thing to say. Hey, I'm sending you 400 homes right now, and I don't think we're going to find the right thing when this list is so overwhelming. What can I do to scale this back and make sure that I'm showing you a short list so you only see what you want?
I like that, because that's what I've been trying to teach with, like, when people come back from Wailopo and get an alert of like this lead hasn't looked at something after 80 days of inactivity, then go grab that original search that they had and say, hey, are you still wanting to see 400 homes? Because maybe you went inactive because I was putting too much in front of you, right?
And then what happens is, like, you'll see through the click-through rate that somebody like was clicking and they've stopped clicking. And if they're not clicking, sometimes it's because they're only seeing the same couple homes each time, or because now the list is so exhaustive. It's like, yeah, I don't have anything that I'm going to find, and I won't have the energy to go past one page.
So I think what you're saying a lot of times, even if it's just not perfect, Nikki, is that you're finding something that you can bring of, like, again, the value word that we're, but it's not even value. It's just like, I'm going to take you along this path that I know these things that I'm going to ask you is going to bring more, that maybe we can shorten the time frame that I'm like allowing you to buy a house, right? Like, it's not, everybody's always so, but that, like, Nikki, you're not really being honest about that, or, and you know what I mean? Like, you're stirring up a conversation. Like, I am stirring up a conversation. You know what I mean?
And also, realistically, it is not dishonest for me to ask you a clarifying question. I think some people feel that a clarifying question is being pushy, when really, if you say my timeline is 1 year out, I can't take you at face value for that. I need to make sure that we both know I'm not being a good resource to you unless I ask, okay, Ryan, let me clarify. If the right house shows up next month or in 2 months from now, you 100% are not in a position to take a look at it. Is that what you're saying? Yeah. And sometimes people will say, yes, because I will not retire until next year, so I cannot look. Great. Now we verified, and we don't have to follow up in the same rate because we got a concrete answer. But some people say, no, I'd figure it out. I'd make it happen. Okay, well, that's a different conversation. So even if they have said that they're not starting for a year, my next follow-up call is going to say, hey, Ryan, last we spoke, my understanding is that you were waiting. And since you were waiting, I wanted to clarify, what are we looking at right now as the timeline? In a perfect world, when are you getting moved into the house? And I'm acting as though I don't know the answer because I'm trying to present that maybe something has happened, and you might tell me if something has changed, right?
There you go.
And the conversation might say, good, because a couple of things have happened since the last time we spoke, Ryan. Last time we spoke, we were in a market where homes were very competitive in every offer that we were putting in. And now what I'm seeing is there's more days on market, or now what I'm seeing is locally condos, HOAs, and insurance are changing in our area. And I was wondering if that's going to affect our buying power. Well, me saying things have changed is me bringing a value add instead of I'm just checking in. How's it going?
Yeah. And I think that's what separates the best agents from, the agents that are getting out of the business, is the ability to ask really, again, we always say, everybody says it's the hard questions, correct? And I think it's just because I think this industry or the world in the last, 10 years has made the agent, become lazier towards asking those, hard questions sometimes, right? As well.
Because they didn't have to.
They didn't have
Homes
to.
were going to sell. Yeah. And I think that when you start to do this language over and over and over again, you build up the habits so it doesn't feel clunky. It starts to feel so second nature that your mind automatically says, I've got plenty of things to talk about. So if an agent is still at a point where they feel like, I don't know what to say, I think it's just a lack of practice. It's not because there aren't available new things for you to present to that client.
And guys, that's probably, that's a huge thing to take when it comes to when someone's, you're getting on a team and somebody's saying, go through these 1,000 contacts. Like, the 1,000 contacts that you're doing is just don't stop where that one person is. Like, see how deep you can go to show you that the way people will respond is not going to it just won't hurt you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like that's what's really interesting is like when you start to see answers like in the insides of you as a human just start to like turn a different way. You're like, wow, this feels better now, right?
Yeah. And
it's endorphins and different things that are happening.
if you have somebody who is far enough out and you're still as an agent building up your business, and maybe you're newer, you're within your first year, for example, and somebody's price point doesn't make sense, you have time to start to make that make sense. So my next couple of follow-ups might be something like, hey, I'm sure you're seeing that we're not seeing a lot of properties under 200,000. Are you noticing that in your searches? Right. Okay.
Yeah.
So then let's talk about that. Last time we talked, you had confided in me that we were saving up for the down payment. Tell me, I told you I was going to be your accountability partner. Are we still on track with that? How's that going? Okay. It looks to me like, and we're pushing the needle a little more further and setting realistic expectations. But then what I've seen happen is that people's price can go up if they have enough time to prepare for it. And it's not going to happen if I only talk to them twice and my follow-up was checked.
And guys, that's a huge value add. When you're a new agent, you're hearing Nicky, guys, you can master property searches and being able to bring value through property searches with also not always learning the market. Like you're going to become an experienced agent over time.
Yes,
like
you
give
will.
yourself that grace, give yourself not knowing every community or what's happening in that community. Like our agent Mike the other day knew a community that he's mastering the market more, but then someone that's newer like Heather can master property search and be able to bring value based on the property search of, hey, we've had this conversation. I'm sending you this, but based on your behaviors and different things that we're not aligning, right?
And then the willingness, like I'm sure every agent has experienced this. You get to the second call, and the second call they say, "Who is this? I don't remember." Right?
Yeah.
Now this is the value where a new agent, they're so eager to get things right, and they've taken good notes from their first conversation, and they say, "You remember we talked about blah blah blah, and you had mentioned this thing about your kids, da da da. Are we still? How did that game end up going?" Now the agent who has been around the block may tend to answer in a way where they leaned on their ego instead, and it's like,
you don't
this
remember,
is so and so, you don't remember. And the tone difference and the willingness, that's a difference, but it's the same question. You have to stay in that level of vulnerability to scale back your own ego for the sake of you moving forward in the career that you're building.
That's some gold, huh?
I hope so, man.
Is that all you got today?
These are the notes, man. Don't give in, don't check in.
Yeah. Guys, and that's, I mean, again, we understand that everybody's got different kind of leads, like sphere, past client. This is very, like Nicky's talking to everything, guys. You, even with people that you can still have tough conversations with them. And that's usually most of the time while you're their agent over and over again, even if there's someone that's close to you, because you are asking them those hard questions. You're taking that personal relationship away from it, right?
Right.
And at some point, it's like, hey, somebody else that was an agent that's not personal to them knows that they're going to ask the hard question. That's why they're getting the sale.
It's true.
Right.
And then you've seen that happen too, where there's an agent that they have somebody in their family or in their extended circle, and they choose to go with our team. And that happens with other people too, because, well, this person just felt like they understood better, and this person had more knowledge about the market. I just couldn't afford to do with this big home purchase, this newer agent that just got licensed in our family, or this so on. So the value, there is no clear cut version where every single time it's a win, but you can definitely increase your win probability.
Yeah. And then guys, like finding yourself and equipping yourself with a toolkit of questions that you can ask, because it's funny when we were just talking to Heather and she's like, I just want to always prepare myself. It's like, you can always prepare yourself until you're not prepared again, and what happens, you know what I mean? Or something's thrown at you. And that's what's cool, to have a toolkit of just being able to kind of slow somebody. Like Travis and I never selling a house, right? And people always want to pressure us like, oh, well, you're telling us to do this. You've never sold a house. Well, help me understand. Even if I haven't sold a house, you're still doing this. And they're like, okay. You know what I mean? Like that's all it's coming down to, right?
You and Travis, because you're able to see how agents are engaging on a mass scale, you can see where the wins are. You can see where the critiques and the adjustments can be. So
even if it's not perfect, you see some of these text messages goes out from these agents that it's just like, and Dorothea, God bless her soul, 73 years old. She's like, I just sent it, didn't even worry about if a capital letter or period or any of that. Like that's some of the little stuff people sit there and worry about all day, right? Does it look right on the other end and stuff like that?
But
And Dorothea's like,
gonna get it.
She's like, I just willing just to give it out there. And she's like, that's why all the old people want to be able to they're selling their homes to get in the old people home with me. You know what I mean? There's a lot of other people because she helps people get into.
And then the last thing that I'll mention is just you had briefly touched over the SOI leads and, you know, a regular team lead, right?
Yeah.
When it's an SOI lead, I think people feel a stronger sense of their ability to convert and get referrals. And when it's a company lead, the ability to transform it into a referral is 100% dependent on your service. Okay. So if you are willing to show all of your value consistently, when you ask for a referral, you're not even going to feel weird about it. It's going to be an easy expectation because the sentence might sound something like, and Ryan, I'd love to give the same experience to any of your friends who might be looking, or family. I'd love to help them in the same way that I helped you. And that is a value referral. If you can confidently say, I want to give them the experience that you had and know that it was a great experience.
That's a great way to reach out instead of saying, how are things going? Instead of just saying, hey, like, I know we've had this, you're a past client of mine. I was able to provide the service to you about 5 years ago. I know I haven't done the best job maybe following up with you and staying in front of you, but is there anybody that can value my service that I was able to provide to you? Maybe something like that. That's pretty cool. I like that. All right. Thank you guys so much. We, again, we're on YouTube. Subscribe to the button below. There's a bell next to the button below that will actually it will update you when we have gone live with something. And that means you can implement it in your business right away.
Yeah. Thanks for listening, guys.
Thank you. Bye-bye.